What's going on, guys? Welcome to week 5 of the Tawkin Chop podcast. My name is Kevin. We got all the homies here. You guys want to go and say what's up?
Hey, it's
Sure,
Will
yep.
White, Bayou Bill. Just want to give a shout out to Braves fans everywhere. It's a rough series. I've been listening to sad John Mayer songs on the day off, but decided to put this smile shirt on just to remind everybody, let's have a better attitude and put some positivity out in the world for our boys, and maybe we can turn the ship around.
That's right. What's up, guys? I'm Ty. Looking forward to talking some Braves and digging a little bit into this rough patch we're into.
Yo soy Esteban. You can call me Steven, like Nerny. Down here in South America, repping the A through the thick and the thin. And let's talk about it.
Yeah, so obviously we got off to a little bit of a rough week here. My prediction that going into this week was 3-3. We went 1-5, unfortunately. We're gonna kind of go through and talk about some of the games, and really, like, it's crazy how close we were. Like, there's a couple plays, if they went our way, like, we could have gone 3-3. And me personally, I would have been stoked if we went 3-3 this week. But 1-5 is not the end of the world, for sure. Still May, lots of time left. We're 20-12. If you told me at the beginning of the season that we're gonna play the Dodgers, we're gonna play the Rangers, we're gonna play the Phillies, we're gonna play the Diamondbacks, all these teams that were like in the playoffs last year, we're gonna go 20-12 after the first, 5 weeks now. I'd be pretty stoked about that. But anyway, yeah, game 1 against the Mariners. Really, like, I think we just ran into some really hot pitching. Bryce Miller just absolutely shoved. Where's the game recap here? He went 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 10 Ks, 97 pitches. Yeah, I mean, the Braves bats just seemed lost, but at the same time, you got to tip your cap a little bit to him. Max Fried also pitched fantastic as well. He went 6 innings, no hits. We had a double no hitter going on until like the 7th or 8th inning, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, we ended up getting oh yeah, Ronald took the game into his own hands. He got a single, steals second, steals third, scores on the Aussie double. So it was 1-0 going into the 9th, where we had Minter in there. I don't remember why Iglesias wasn't in there. Did he pitch the last 2 days, maybe?
Yeah,
Yep.
He had pitched 2 or 3
Saturday
in a
and
row.
Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yep.
Garber worked a good count. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-2 count, and just kind of hung one over the middle, and he put it in the seats, and game over.
Put it in the ocean. He hit that ball so
No
damn far.
doubter. That was a bomb.
Yeah.
He pimped it too.
No nerf
As soon as
balls
he
on
hit
that
it,
one.
he like tossed his bat. I'm like, oh shit, game's over.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pop up at first.
Me too. I thought he was pissed. He like hit a pop fly to left. Nope.
Yeah.
No.
And
I don't know if we want to see AJ in the ninth inning again closing. I mean, I know we really didn't have a choice there, but he just gives me fits whenever we see him come into close. And I feel like lately he's kind of struggled with that role. So if it would have been me, and I know this is all hindsight, but I would have liked to have messed with the pitchers that we saw in relief there. So, like, I've got here my thoughts on that were, so we saw JJ come in, then AJ come. Yeah, it was, no, I'm sorry, it was Johnson, JJ, then AJ. I want to flip that around because you've seen Pierce Johnson close games in his career. So I would have brought in JJ in the 7th inning. AJ is your setup man where he has succeeded, and then put Johnson in there. But the only thing I think against that, maybe they put in Pierce Johnson just for matchups, but still, if I could have changed anything about that game, it might have been that, and we might have had a different result. So
I would
Yeah.
just counter that by saying that we've seen AJ have success against the Dodgers in very high leverage situations going back to 2021. And he had seemed to be kind of riding a wave going into that series this weekend for me.
we're still talking about the
yeah, I mean,
Mariners.
he had 5 wins under his belt. He was one of our hottest relief pitchers. So I mean,
Oh, my bad.
I understand why. I know why Snit put him in there. He had all the confidence in the world in him. I mean, he had been succeeding so far this year, so there was no reason to be like, "Oh no, we probably shouldn't do that." But I'm just saying, going forward, let's maybe think maybe not AJ there if we can get around it.
Okay, yeah. So I recused myself from this like entire topic because that was definitely a Mariners appearance. But what I will also contend is that we've seen it, and I don't think we all like it, and I don't necessarily like it, but Snit has proven that he's going to put guys in uncomfortable situations, whether people like it or not. I think he gets a lot of criticism for that, but I think he takes the opportunities in the regular season to put guys in situations to sort of show me like how are you going to respond. Um, Whether it's a good
Yeah,
defense
wants
or
to build
not,
their
I think that's
confidence.
kind of the philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that work out for us with Will Smith. I think it's now working out with JJ, honestly. Like Snit stuck with him even when he was kind of scuffling last year. And look at him now, he's scorching people. I mean,
You're
you see
still,
the same thing on the other side of the ball with like Ozuna, right? Like, so he, for sure, I think that's Snit's best quality that sometimes comes to bite him is that he instills a lot of confidence in his guys, and that will help later on down the road. But sometimes I guess you got to go through the growing pains when it doesn't work out. But that's why you get all that shit out in the regular season, right? I mean, I think that's the point you're making.
exactly. Yeah.
I think the mindset they have too is like they know that they're going to make it to the postseason, and that's really the main goal of the regular season is just to make it to the postseason, right? And so I don't really think they care if they win 93 games or 103 games, as long as they, obviously they want to win the division, but I think as long as they make it into the postseason, I think winning the division is their main goal. They've said that multiple times, which I don't know, that might remind me a little too much of like the 90s of, winning like what 14 straight division titles with only one ring kind of thing. But at the same time, I mean, they got a point. You got to make it to the postseason to be able to play for the ring.
Well, and speaking to that point, I heard Buck Baloo on 680 today talking about chill out. It's the regular season. We saw last year, winning the division by so much. We got those 3 days off and we came out kind of cold, even though we did all those simulation games. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to not have those 3 days off, you know?
Yeah.
I
Where do
miss
we
Kind
hearing
all?
of,
that.
I don't know if I'm even saying that myself or if I'm with it, but
You
I
you
mean, we
can't
saw an
play for
88
that
win
though.
team.
Yeah.
No, you can't. But what I'm saying is like as far as the baseball postseason, it's such a crapshoot. Like that 2021 team won what 88 games, still won the division, but like was on a hot streak at the end. So I think that's what's going to be, most important is
Yeah.
timing.
That's what's wild is the teams that we've had the past 2 years have been so much better than that 2021 team.
Yeah.
But then, obviously the results are much different.
Baseball, right?
Baseball. Yeah.
Baseball.
So where do we all stand on this, right? Like just out of curiosity, if you had so setting aside what you try to do in the regular season, what's our collective opinion on whether or not you, given the choice, would do or do not want the bye? Do you want to play like a lesser team in a 3-game series and get, stay fresh, or do you want to get the bye and the days off? Like, what do we, given the option, what do you take? I
You
can
want to start
start. I
first?
firmly believe you want the bye.
Yeah, I
Strongly.
think you do
Yeah.
too. I think unfortunately you can't really rely on other people's performances either, like the Phillies getting hot last year.
Right.
I think you have to have your health though. I think like even if you had the bye tied up, like it makes sense to me even, and this is kind of going even further opposite, but like you want to have guys healthy, you want to have guys rested, in my opinion. Like I think, for instance, this weekend, I know we have a couple of weeks where we're only playing like 4 or 5 games this week and next week, but to me, like give Matt Olson a day off and just let the albatross of playing 162 fall away and disintegrate like now rather than trying to put
Yeah.
him out there because he's just let him not worry about that and give him a day off tomorrow since we had the night off tonight, for instance. Think about some things, come back and hopefully be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit, talking about Olsen, because he hasn't actually been as bad as his batting average shows. But yeah, no, I definitely agree that you definitely want the bye. Like you want to be able to line up your pitching, you want to give guys rest, but at the same time, if you do, like I like the argument of playing a 3-game series to stay hot and like keep your timing on point or whatever. But at the same time, we lost a 3-game series to the Oakland Athletics last year.
Exactly.
3-game
50% of
series
the
are so
teams,
fluky. You know what I mean?
It's-
Like
half the teams in that series are out before they get to the DS, right? Like that's what everyone forgets. Like the teams that win seem to do well, but half of them are gone, don't even play in the DS. So, look no further. The Mets lost in the wild card series 2 years ago. Like nobody expected that. There's no
the
guarantee
Padres,
you get
right?
Uh,
out of that.
Yeah, I mean, and LA did the same thing we did. Like they got swept in their DS last year.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, the tweak that I would make. So, I think you got to play for the bye, right? You want to be able to set up your pitching. We saw that kind of helped us out last year because we were a little bit banged up at pitching, so at least gave us a little reprieve to let Max work some time to work on that blister and give him time for that. But the tweak that has to be made if you want to keep this playoff format is there has to be a penalty for making the wild card, right? Like, so when you win your wild card series, you're flying out next day, no rest, you're playing. So you don't get a chance to rest your pitchers, get your lineup a little bit better intact. You're going in there tired, your lineup is all out of whack, and you're playing guys that are rested and ready for you. Because if you're gonna get in the wild card, there's got to be some kind of detriment. You don't get the added benefit of these days off.
I like
If
that.
I can piggyback on that, I heard a cool proposition last season where the wild card winner is playing all road games in the next round. Like the next round is, last year would have been all in Atlanta with Philly. And there's multiple reasons for that. A, because, we won the division. We shouldn't have to travel necessarily for this 5-game series. And because the franchise gets all the concessions and the ticket sales and whatnot. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Or we need to talk about reseeding the wild cards after they finish the wild card run, right? That's something that me and Ty have talked about before.
Yeah.
Here's kind of a crazy idea.
Yeah. Play, best versus worst, reseed, kind of like they do in the NBA.
Exactly.
And also, yeah.
Like they do in every other league, right? Doesn't the NFL do the same thing?
I can't recall.
Best plays worse in the NFL for sure.
Every other league does it. I don't know. I don't like to like have discussions of like, oh well, if we had just not had to play the Phillies, you got to give the Phillies some credit. Like they've kicked their ass 2 years in a row. But I think the easiest and the most universally, like I can't imagine somebody arguing over saying, look, the DS should be 7 games. I think that's like a good place to start, where you just say, look, I don't know what the hell are we doing? Playing 5-game DS series? Like why? Like you people allergic to money? Like what's the problem here?
Yeah,
Like,
and MLB's doing the whole wild card for more money anyway, right? So let's go more games. That's more money.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Braves the only team to win a game in this series? Didn't everyone else get swept? Like the favorite
The Orioles got swept. The Dodgers got swept.
Everybody except Houston, right?
Yep. And that's like 2 years in a row that it was like that too. The only 2 years
Houston
this
is
has
the
been
outlier.
effect, the best teams.
They're the only one that Houston's the only one that hasn't been detrimented by those 3 days off. So they're not the example. They're the the exception.
This is my kind of crazy idea for it. And like Ty said, I want to give credit to the Phillies because I know there's going to be Phillies fans chirping in the comments like, oh, you're just making excuses because you got your ass kicked 2 years in a row. Like hats off to the Phillies. You guys kicked our ass.
We are aware. We were there.
Exactly.
So firsthand.
But what I think they should happen is game 162 is on Sunday. Monday is a doubleheader. You have to win both games if you want it to be over. If you want a day off, you got to sweep the doubleheader. Then game 3, if necessary, is on Tuesday, and then Wednesday is game 1 of NLDS or of the DS. Like you said, penalize the wild card series, and then that way there's only 2 days off for the winner, right? And not this long 5 days off. And like I get having 5 days off, being able to line up your rotation and give guys rest and everything like that. But baseball is such a momentum sport. You can't tell me that these guys go and play this game for 6 months straight, of like 160 out of 180 days or something like that, and then take 5 days off and expect to just like flip a switch and turn it back on again. Like you can't tell me that doesn't have some sort of effect on, not only the Braves, but the Dodgers and the Orioles and, all these other teams that were dominant all year. And then when the playoffs come around, they just get swept.
The only problem you're going to have with that is if like a team that won their division that has to play in the wild card series, like I guess it was the Brewers last year, they're going to be upset about having to do all that jazz that
Yeah.
you're just talking about. That kind of
Play
sucks for
better.
them if they have to do that.
Win
Yeah,
more
I
games.
know, but they won their division. They should not have to get penalized because we're talking about penalizing wild card teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
Well,
but I mean, they would have to do the same thing from what you suggested as well. Like if you had to play, all away games for the DS,
Yeah.
then it's the same thing, if they win the wild card series.
There's some analysis we could do on this, right? Because the off days aren't exclusive to this scenario, right? Like if you sweep the DS in the pre 2022, or what is it, pre 2023? When did they introduce this 3-game wildcard series? Whenever they introduced
2022 was the first year of it.
Okay. So before that, though, you still had a bunch of days off if you swept your games in your opponent, right? Like if you went out and swept the DS, you'd still have 3 days off, right? Because you'd have the game four when you would have played game 4, game 5, and the playing day off in between. Same thing said about the CS, the World Series. Like if you went in 4, you still got like up to 5 days off in before the World Series. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Major League Baseball playoffs are a crapshoot. Like that's the bottom line.
I just
I mean,
remember, and it could go both ways. I just remember being conflicted when we did have the days off, and like we had announced that we're going to do these simulation games, and they actually like opened up the park. It was like free attendance. I think you had to like reserve a seat, and they only let in so many people. But I
No,
remember
we had
thinking like,
more.
damn, this
We
is
had
like
more fans.
scary.
We had
Well,
more
I just
fans
remember
at
thinking
the.
like, do we want to do this? Is this a good idea, or like, could people get hurt? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
so I don't know. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like games that mattered. Um, and I really don't have. I'm not trying to like make a stance on this, but I remember thinking like, this is either it could be a good idea, it could be a bad idea. It turned out everyone was healthy through it, but it still obviously didn't really keep our rhythm up, or maybe even did, but we just didn't perform, we didn't execute. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they scored 8 runs in 4 games. After that team hit, set the or tied the home run record, led the league in slugging, and they set a slugging record. They led the league in average and OPS and every hitting stat nearly, and then just automatically,
Bats just died.
Yeah. But and again, you have to give credit to the Phillies pitching. Wheeler shoved, Nola shoved, but like we've gotten to Wheeler before. Like he's not invincible. You know what I mean? But anyway, we went off on a tangent there. Game 2 versus the Mariners was a really tight game as well. Raylo went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, showed a little bit of signs of stress and frustration for the first time, but he gave up 2 singles, a 2-run double, and a walk, shook it off, got the ground out with the bases loaded. Castillo, gotta tip your cap to him too. Went 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Luis Castillo is a really good pitcher. You know what I mean? Kind of what we going to be the theme of this whole week. Really, it's perfect storm. It's our struggling lineup versus really good pitching. It's tough. And then game 3 we did get the win. I was really hoping that was going to be like a really big breakout game for us because we had 1 inning where we strung a few hits together. We put up 4 runs in 1 inning. We ended up winning the game 5-2, but that was in like the 4th inning, I think, when we did that. And so I thought
we had Acuna, Riley, Olsen all get a hit in the same inning, right?
Right, exactly. And so what I thought was going to happen all year. Yeah, and I was hoping we were going to get the B team of their bullpen after they had all their top guys in the first 2 games, and then we were just going to tee off and put up like 10 runs. You know what I mean? And kind of break out of this funk right before the Dodgers series would have been, perfect. But that didn't happen. They bats went quiet again. And then we got to LA. Yeah. So
let's just roll through this. God,
yeah. I've highly underestimated the Mariners staff. Also, and just moving past that, I think it was really cool to see the Braves in Seattle. I think I mentioned this in our text chain, or maybe even on last week's pod, that like, growing up, King Griffey Jr. was one of my favorite players. And like, I think we played there actually last year, maybe 2 years ago, but we rarely go to Seattle. And it was just cool to like be there. And I was most impressed, and this is maybe like a general statement or takeaway from the whole week, but like those fans in Seattle, man, there was probably like a third of the people there in Seattle compared to like LA, but those fans were rowdy, and the LA fans were super like wine and cheese. And I just thought, like, man, I'll take one off in Seattle. I hope we, wish we'd gotten one or two or all three in LA, but like those fans in Seattle are just way more passionate. And like when you go there, you kind of understand that like there's people actively rooting against you and rooting for their team. When you go to LA, it just seems like that's not really the case.
Yeah, I remember watching the wild card game when the Mariners were in it. I don't remember who they were playing. I think it was in 22. But that was their first postseason appearance in a while, and they were rowdy. They ended up losing the game, but it was close down to the ninth inning, and they ended up losing. But yeah, they wanted it so bad. They were a fun team for sure. But yeah, so game 4 versus the Dodgers, Ronald hit a fastball. He turned on a fastball outside actually and pulled it over the fence, which was really cool to see out of Ronald. Kelnick has a cannon. He gunned out. Who was it running? Was it Freddie? No, he gunned down Freddie at second in game 3. But there's a play at the plate.
He went to Jared.
He went to Jared.
That's our new thing. That's our new thing. Every time he guns someone out, it's like he went to Jared.
Yeah, man. He's what an upgrade from Eddie out in there defensively, man. That's insane.
And at the plate, like Eddie's been awful this year, hasn't he?
He has a negative 17 WRC plus. I didn't even know that was possible to be negative.
Yeah.
100 is average if you don't know, and 0 is like bad. And he was negative 17 WRC plus.
Yeah, anything below 80 is exceptional.
Yeah, but
well, and all we need
don't say that because we got
is,
people down there.
Yeah.
All we need Jared to do is hit like 185 and play that defense, baby.
Yeah,
hit 200, hit 220, that'll be fine. But yeah, give me that glove and that arm all day.
Yep. I mean, he's hovering at 300 pretty quietly, I think. So I think he just dipped below 300 through this.
He started out really hot. Those first like
Jared
2
did.
Yeah, he was at 314, 317 for a while. And I think this past 2 series is he finally got back under 3. I think he's at like 275 now, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's very quietly doing that, is my point.
Yeah, okay. That's good to hear. That's like way more than we need him to do. Obviously we got a lot of people struggling, but good then.
But kind of going back to what we talked about, how just a few key plays could have changed this whole week, where the pitch to Garver in game 1 against the Mariners from Minter, he hits the walk-off homer. In game 1 versus the Dodgers, Acuna gets picked off in the first inning. Riley hits a bomb. That would have been an extra run. We wouldn't have gone to extra innings. Could have won that game. Granted, you never know how the game's going to play out if something different happens like that. But it's kind of like a what could have been type thing.
That was very obviously a design play. They knew they were going to go for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
100% for sure.
And, it was a ballsy attempt at third too. Like just not necessary. I mean, that's all I'll say.
I don't know. I think they kind of called him sleeping a little bit. Like he did. He was 100%. He was all weight on his front foot, and then he was just
too big of a lead.
They could do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he never saw it coming. It came in the back door, well timed. So like I think it was the deal where he's leading off from second.
Like he wasn't even going.
Well, he just never saw the guy coming, right? Like he's leading off, moving from his left to his right. The second baseman covers from the back side. So as he takes off, I don't know. He just never saw it, and it was just perfectly timed.
His blind spot, yeah.
Got him in his blind spot.
Because they did it again the next day, but he was ready for it.
Yeah. It was a legit like drawn up play to get him out at second.
Which is smart of them, right? Like that's
kind of stupid
really
to
the
pull
way
that
that
in the
we've been
regular season.
manufacturing runs.
Yeah. Did you pull that in the second inning?
Pulled it now.
First inning of game 1 of the regular season. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Now we know what to look for it in playoffs.
Yeah.
But and then game 5 was just kind of a blowout. Bryce Elder versus Tyler Glasnow. Not a great matchup for us. I will say that I just kind of wish our rotation is lined up better for that whole series. It was they got the back end of our rotation. Charlie Morton pitched great though. He went like 6 innings, 2 runs. You know what I mean? Like if you told me he was going to go 6 innings, 2 runs against the Dodgers, like fuck yeah, I'll take that every time.
Yeah.
And assuming our offense is clicking, which unfortunately it is not. And then kind of I do want to back up to the first game against the Dodgers real quick though, because we went into the Manfred style extra innings. We got the run, which is good, but I feel like that's kind of the minimum of what you have to do, especially when you're the away team. You have to score that run. And we did, which obviously you would like to put up 2 or 3, but and then Shohei is Shohei and hits that change up a foot outside of the strike zone in the right-hand batter's box and just flips it over, Arcia's head to tie the game. And then we go into the 11th, and that freaking Pages kid who went like 4 for 5 that game hits the walk-off blooper single. And I will say that Michael Harris probably could have caught that. He should. You guys think he should have laid out for that? I guess I'll ask you guys.
I don't think it
Could
matters,
have.
right? Like,
Do you think the runner scores
judgment,
from third if he catches it?
Probably. I don't know. Probably not.
Could have. I think I'll put it this way. I think he does if it's the postseason. I don't know. Like, you tell me. I mean, are you diving full front, just like eating dirt and like giving up, potentially more
Game-saving catch potentially.
I think he would have dove if he could have caught it. If he dove, like I think he's just like.
I mean, you could tell as soon as the ball dropped, he was kind of like. I think he knew once it dropped that he could have caught it, because like I didn't see this in the game, but some people were talking online and said that the runner was already off the bag. The runner at third was already off the bag a few steps and wouldn't have had time to tag up. So that's the only reason. It's kind of one of those things like hindsight. Go back. Maybe you could have done this differently, but that was something that was somewhat notable that I thought.
Who did we bring in there? Was that Jesse in the 11th?
It's Jesse Chavez. And me, I was freaking out in the group chat, like, why isn't Pierce Johnson in there? And then, of course, next day we find out he goes to the IL with the elbow.
Yeah.
How long is he out? It's just 10 day? I guess
15.
We don't know, really.
It's on the 15.
15's the minimum for pitchers.
I haven't even looked at that. Like, have they released anything telling us what it is? Or is it just soreness? Do we have reason to be concerned about PJ? Because honestly, he was becoming one of my favorite lockdowns for us. So kind of losing him is a big piece, I feel like.
I was listening to the 755 podcast with David O'Brien earlier, and he said that he interviewed Pierce, and he said that he's had like forearm trouble in the past that was much more serious, that did shut him down for like a whole year. And he said this didn't feel anything like that. It was just a little bit sore, getting ramped back up for the new season and stuff like that. So hopefully, they said they haven't done an MRI or anything like that. They're not treating it as something serious. So hopefully it's not.
When did they find out? Because was he like?
So I got it right here. They're calling it inflammation in a sewing elbow. It's 15 days backdated to May 1st.
Yeah. So we're already almost halfway through that now. It's the 6th now. So
May 1st was Wednesday.
So we're
it was after he pitched in Seattle. He said that he felt a little sore.
So yeah, that was game. Was that game 1?
Must have been right after.
Yeah. Game 1 was Tuesday, right? No, game 1 was Monday.
Yeah.
So he pitched, but I don't know if we saw him again after. My question is, like, did we see? So really, what I was saying is, did they warm him up and then that's when we found out? But you're telling me no, they backdated it to May 1st. So anyway.
Well, I think you can warm up and find out. And
I don't think he warmed up. No.
Okay.
As long as you don't make an appearance, I'm pretty sure you can backdate it.
You can.
Yeah. I don't really know how all that works, but I know you can backdate it somehow. But cool. Yeah, game 5. Going back to that, Elder Glasnow, just not a great matchup. You can't, Elder thrives when he can hit his spots, and he wasn't. Just leaving, his 88 mile an hour fastball middle zone to guys like Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy, and these guys, like, they're just gonna crush it. That.
What do y'all think about Elder? What do you think the move is with him? Is there a move? Did you make the next start?
What are the alternatives? That's my biggest question.
Well, I think I don't know, like in between there is a question where it's like, how do you get the best out of him? And I think it's not, in even low leverage situations like starts maybe he's like kind of a long inning guy, like against the Dodgers if you face him in the NLCS again, where maybe you have a lead, a big lead, or you're getting smoked and you need somebody to gobble innings in the postseason. I'd love him to prove me wrong that like he can go and get those guys out, but like Kevin was just alluding to, it's like against those top four on that Dodgers lineup, it's like he looks a little different than when you're facing some lower tier lineups.
I think
Yeah.
he's good enough to be our fifth starter in the regular season until somebody like AJ Smith-Shawver shows that he's ready to get a chance.
Yeah.
And because this is what I was saying when we were chatting about it during the game, like you're not going to see Bryce Elder in that spot if we were playing NLCS or NLDS against somebody, right?
Well, we thought that
It's not
last
gonna-
year too, and he was pitching game 3 against the Phillies.
But because of injuries, though, you know what I mean?
Well, exactly. We've already got
And
our
that's why he's here
Mason
now.
down.
Yeah.
So what happens if Charlie or Sale gets hurt and they're out for the season? Then he's our number 3. Or I guess he's our number 4. He would
He's clearly
He'd be our
5
4.
now.
Yeah, he's
You're
5
4.
now. If somebody got injured, he'd be 4. And
Yeah.
I still don't think you would see him in certainly not a 5-game series.
Yeah.
I think he said it himself, like he kind of figured out some things and like faced the ringer and was like, all right, I know that I need to have the mental fortitude to like go deeper in the season after he had the, all-star first half last year. We just also need to see kind of the physical aspect to the growth. And I'm not giving up on him by any means, but
Neither.
I'm not necessarily like fully in love or trusting him either.
I don't think anybody trusts their fifth starters is just my point.
Yeah.
Right. So fifth starter is kind of the way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly,
know-
you're right. Sorry, go ahead, Todd. Because I was going to say like AJSS could be,
Go ahead, but I'm gonna keep talking.
somebody. Well, like I was surprised when we made a couple of roster moves and Smith-Shawver wasn't, or like I just don't think it's
Smith-Shawver has not been great.
quite time for that. Yeah, like they need some time to grow and develop. So
he's 22, you're 23, right? Like he's just a kid. Like he needs more
20.
time. Oh,
for
yeah,
sure,
you might be
100%.
right. He needs more time, and I'm fine with that. I think, like I said, Bryce is playing the role that he needs to play.
He's 21.
It's still
21.
early. Let
Maybe.
him be the fifth starter in the regular season. He's going to get some bad matchups like we saw this weekend, but he's also like the first game he appeared in, he looked fantastic against subpar talent. So let's just use him however we need him. And then when the time comes that maybe somebody's ready, if they show us that, then fine. But if he can just get us through this regular series, then we'll have used him for all that we need him for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean,
go ahead.
I ran those stats on him during our call last week, right? And across the entire league, he's pitched 45 innings against Miami. This is before last week, and 24 innings against Washington, and no more than 13 innings against any other team. In his career thus far, they have done a very good job of somehow timing him up against shit lineups.
Yeah.
Right. Like they just send him like they have AAA lineups. We're going to send out our AAA starting pitcher to pitch against them. So I think they've been creative about how they keep him in the mix in Atlanta, but avoid starting him against LA. I was really surprised that, honestly, I guess I didn't look into it, but I mean, Kevin, you mentioned it. They caught the back end of our rotation. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I just brought it up because I know in the past, I've kind of claimed all along that I think you'll see about a 5.5 man rotation in Atlanta all year, with Sale having the injury history. Charlie Morton's old as shit. Max Fried is, shown, been relatively durable throughout his career, but had injury problems last year.
He's got to figure out the blister thing.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyhow, it would be about this time that I wouldn't even if he had pitched fine, I wouldn't be that surprised to see them call up somebody out of AAA, whether that be AJ Smith-Shawver or Darius Vines again. I was actually just doing some research. Apparently, this Herbert guy they traded for is not a starting pitcher. I don't know who else is down there. There's others.
Dylan Dodd.
Waldrop, dude. I wouldn't be surprised to see us like pull out some stops and say like, okay, young kids. I mean, kind of the similar way to what Spencer Strider came into, where it's like, you know, you throw fucking gas, like let's see if you can throw it at these major league players. And if not for, you know, high leverage situations where games actually matter sometime during the regular season when we're facing a lot of injuries or whatever, just to, because they've got options, you know, you're trying to like use one of those to just give them a little test, and you know, inevitably they're not going to be a grown fucking 25 to 27-year-old, and they're gonna have that experience, right? Like I've seen AA and Snit pulling guys up, young guys. I mean, you know, look at center field, look at right field, look at
Right.
Strider, look at, you know, a lot of these prospects who we've just like given big deal. I mean, even Riley, who's what, 27, and I know he's struggling, but like we've been putting people on in the limelight, like in on center stage, and asking them to perform. And I think the clubhouse, the culture is all supportive of everybody enough to where it's like you're not going to lose your mind if you come up here and you fail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
totally.
August or September rolls around and we've got, you know, 5+ game lead on the Phillies. Like we'll probably see a start or two from him.
Yep. Great.
To give the old guys a break.
The
Give
only
them
thing I was
an
gonna
extra
say is
day's rest.
it's probably hard to run that 5.5 man rotation kind of quasi thing we're talking about when you're all the way out in Seattle, right? Like it's probably hard to bring somebody.
Yeah.
It's easier to go from Gwinnett to Atlanta than it is go, hey man,
Oh,
get
yeah.
on a plane and get over here. So
For sure. But they,
I know I
100%.
guess Jackson Stevens did it, but whatever.
He's been around though.
yeah, he's not really a prospect. He's just like a career quadruple A
Yeah.
player, right? Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's a good point.
but yeah, and then game 3 versus the Dodgers on Sunday. Max pitched pretty well aside from 2 pitches that I bet he wishes he could have back.
Those
But he,
curveballs hanging over the middle.
yeah. And you know, the offense just still couldn't really put it together. It seems like Ozuna hit a solo homer. Yep, Big Bear right there. I think I remember something too. Oh, right before that, Olsen tried to stretch a single into a double. And of course, the ball bounces off the wall perfectly to Teoscar Hernandez, and he makes a perfect throw. And, you know, baseball.
I thought that hit in the first inning looked good. It sounded good, just like everything he's been doing lately, right? It sounded good and then it died. But I was happy to see him pull it to right field finally. It's like, oh, that might be it to finally set it off, the thing we've been looking for. Max Fried
The
home right
Oasis.
field. And especially in LA where that fence is short there. So if like you get it next to the foul pole, it's going. But nevertheless, it did what it's been doing lately for him. So
I think the
most
Braves
unlucky
probably
man in
lead
baseball.
you say the most unlucky man in baseball.
Yeah, or 10th, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's like statistics.
So yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Ty, you put some of these numbers together. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let me pull them up. Let's see.
I'll get you. I'll lead you. I'll tee you up here. So since April 22nd, the Braves have a team WRC plus of 68, which is 28th worst in all of baseball over that time span. From opening day to April 21st, which is like the 3-week span before that, it was 135, which was the best in all of baseball. Wow. That's my first time reading that. Holy crap. That's crazy.
That's just for reference. They had a team WRC plus of 125 for all of last year. They started out better this year than they were on average last year. They were 118 in 2022. Both of those were either best or tied for best in baseball in their respective seasons. Friendly reminder that this lineup is more or less the same as those two lineups at this point. So anyhow, this lineup's gonna be fine. Like, I don't know.
And again, 100, when we're talking about WRC plus, any stat with a plus behind it, 100 is the league average. So if you're 135, that's 35% above average there.
Yeah. But anyhow, kind of digging a little bit deeper into the stats. So clearly they're in a slump. This team being ranked 28th in anything offensively is like laughable, regardless of the period of time. But kind of digging a little bit into kind of why they're in a slump. Are they actually hitting the ball hard or not? Matt Olson. So we looked into the expected weighted on base average relative to the actual weighted on base average, the individual level in that same time span. Olson has the and let me take one step back. The difference there would suggest that a player is unlucky if their expected WOBA is significantly higher than their actual. It suggests they've been hitting the ball hard and been getting unlucky. So in that time span, Olson has the largest differential in all of baseball, indicating he's the least luckiest batter in that time frame. Riley has the 9th worst in all of baseball. And Harris is also pretty high up on that board, sitting at 27th worst in all of baseball. So these guys are hitting the ball hard. They've been unlucky. Some people are definitely cold. Orlando's cold. Ozzy's cold. Orlando happens to be cold and unlucky, but I don't know. These guys are going to be fine. This is baseball. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the point you're trying to make there, just to drive it home, is if we're looking at that differential between expected and actual, that's just going to indicate that, hey, we'll break out of it. They're hitting it fine. It's not like a bigger thing we need to focus on. It's just a matter of when is it going to happen. So
yeah. So I don't know
the
what
results suck, but
yeah,
it's coming. It's coming. Just strap in, Braves fans. It's coming.
That's right. I'm not one to claim like the X stats or the end all be all, right? Like that they account for everything, but it's an indicator, right? And I think it kind of supports what I've been seeing, at least. Like Riley's hitting the ball hard. Like all these balls dying on the warning track. They're hitting the ball hard. They're just not finding gaps. And this stuff evens out over 162. So I don't know. I can't wait for the pendulum to swing back. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. I think a phrase that some other Braves podcaster said was that water always finds level kind of thing. Like they're just on the bad end of the luck now. And I think a lot of people don't understand how much, like, I don't want to say baseball is a game of luck, but there's sometimes where, like, you know, what these guys have been doing, they've been smoking the ball, just happens to be right at somebody. Like it's gonna find grass or gonna find the seats eventually. I am starting to join the bandwagon of people who think that MLB is giving Braves dead balls, kind of as a joke, but like they must lead the league. I wish there was a stat for balls died at the track. But somebody did bring up an interesting stat the other day that there was a ball that Olson hit and a ball that Muncy hit that were
homer, right?
Yeah. Olson actually hit it 2 miles per hour harder. I think he hit it like 107. Muncy hit it like 105. Same exact launch angle. Muncy's was a homer, but Olson's was not. Obviously, I'm kind of joking. I don't think MLB is actually giving the Braves dead balls, but like it's just
fuck you, Manfred. Fuck you.
Well, the tough part about that too is that Dodger Stadium is like outdoors, so you're not getting any manufactured wind blowing in like in Minnesota. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, wasn't that in like the 60s or something?
No, that was
in
like
the 90s.
In the 90s,
the Braves in the World Series, wasn't it?
That's the World Series. Yeah,
if they weren't throwing, was it Otis Nixon, like fucking Ken Herbig throwing him off of first base, like they were cheating all over the fucking place.
Turbines like up in left
putting the Astros to shame.
Yeah, they were manipulating the air conditioning.
Yeah, it was just
they literally like
HVAC,
put a tailwind on their home run balls. Like
they were just changing the directions of the fans on the big air handling units outfield. So
that's wild. I didn't know that was during the World Series.
Which, hey, Braves, if you want to build a dome, I've got a background in HVAC. I can make that work for you. Yeah, I work.
Well, I was thinking like, it would have been cool if we had like a big, just burlap fucking wall out in left field for like this entire season. Every stadium we played in, the wind seems to be blowing, like even at home, just straight across, left to right, batting everything down. So I don't know.
It's going to heat up though. We're going to.
Exactly. I think that's a big factor too. Is we're early May still. I understand that our numbers aren't quite what we want them to be, but I think being an ATL as it warms up is going to help those numbers, and hopefully also help some pitching.
That's a good time to. That's a good time to go into. So I did a deep dive on the April numbers from this year to last year. If you look at our April numbers, I would actually argue that in many categories, we're better than we were at this time. Maybe not this time after that last week, but if you compare strictly just April's games before May 1st, we were better in runs scored, RBI, We were better in strikeout percentage, so we struck out less than we did last year. We were better in average, or better than on base percentage. The only stat that stuck out to me that was different was we went from 41 home runs last year during the month of April, and now we had 29 home runs in the month of April.
North balls.
So we
Okay.
yeah. We went from 4th in home runs last year to
20.
Yeah.
But the other thing that stuck out too,
That's
encouraging. Oh yeah, for sure. But the weird thing, so if you look at slugging, we dropped, I think, a 1/10 of a percentage point. So we went from like let me look at it. So in the month of April, we had a team slugging of 0.435. So slugging is basically like a conglomeration of like weighted, like you get more points for hitting a triple, hitting a double, hitting a single, hitting a home run. So our slugging actually went down, but we increased our ranking across the MLB. So that kind of tells me that across the league, people aren't slugging as much as they were in April. So
Dead ball.
Yeah.
And then I like comparing the April stats against each other. Is like, okay, everybody wants to blame everything on, the balls are dying because it's just cold, it's weather. But like, no, I've normalized for weather because they're both in April, and our home run significantly dropped. I think that's like a 23, maybe more than that percentage decrease in our home runs. So I mean, that's the only real gap in our offensive stats in April. It's just the lack of power for the home runs. And it's like we've reiterated a million times, we've watched all those balls die. I mean, and that's Riley's game. That's, Acuna's game. That's Olson's game by far. So why are those guys struggling? Because they're not getting the production out of the home runs.
Yeah, kind of touching back on Olson too. I pulled some stats from StatCast on his hard hit rate per pitch, and he's actually hitting the ball harder than he was last year.
Yeah.
So the only one that's really down is fastball. So last year he was hitting the fastball hard hit percentage of 67.8%, and this year he's hitting at 66.7%. But everything else is higher. So on the changeup this year, he's hitting 40%. Last year he was hitting 38.5. The slider is really interesting. The slider this year he's hitting 57.1% hard hit rate. Last year it was 48.5. So that's like a 20% jump in hard hit rates on the slider.
So you're saying he needs to hit it softer, right? That's what we're saying.
Yeah, he just needs to hit it
stop
softer.
swinging the bat so hard.
He had a double it did to on Murphy. Sunday. Yeah.
On the
I'm pretty sure.
If he doesn't
didn't
hit it
Ozuna tell somebody that? Like, you're trying to hit it too hard. Like, just stroke it. Just don't worry about hitting it too hard.
I think that's what he told. That's what he told. No, I think that's what somebody told Darno, and then that's when he went on that.
Darno, yeah. Maybe that is the case. I mean,
Was that Ozuna that said that? Because that would be really interesting.
Pretty sure.
He's
like, you're hitting it too hard, man.
He's the bat whisperer, man. He just comes and whispers in your ear, and you start hitting good.
Ozuna just needs to have a little powwow with each individual person on the team, because he was carrying this team for a hot minute.
Yeah.
You're good at baseball.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You were the best first baseman in the league, man. You hit 52 home runs last year, man. Come on, man. Swing it. Just you don't have to hit so hard, man. You don't have to hit golf shot. Just slap it, man. I'll tell you hit home run.
But it is notable too that last year also in April they started out hot, and then they did have a little downturn as well in May, where we brought it up earlier when they lost 2 of 3 to Oakland. You know what I mean? Like, just I guess the point of me saying that is that I know we're Braves homers and we're like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. It's only May, but it's really only May.
It's
and
only
like
May.
we don't need to change the lineup. We don't need to send Ronald Acuna down to AAA, which isn't even possible. You idiots.
That's if anyone's saying that it should be murdered.
The lineup is clearly underperforming, and when this lineup is clicking and performing like everybody knows that they can, then they're the best fucking lineup in baseball. I don't give a shit.
The only rational argument that I've seen, or at least reasonable thing I could consider, but I even have a caveat against it, is splitting up Riley and Olson, and we've mentioned it before, and putting Ozuna up to the 4 spot. But the reason you're not going to see that is because Snit likes having the breakup of your left-handed batters with a right-handed batter, right? So you want to keep the pitchers from getting that advantage on you. And also the other thing I think about the lineup is like, okay, you're going to shift the lineup up with who's hot, like who are you going to shift up? Everybody's kind of, scuffling. So there's no reason I don't think to put anybody up there until somebody figures it out.
I think there was some talk last year or I think it was in Olsen's first year, so it'd be 22 when he first came over. They tried to slot him in Freddie's spot in the 2-hole, right? I think Ozzy was hurt at that time, and then they moved him to the 4-hole, and then Riley to the 3-hole, and there was some talk then that Riley's career numbers in the 4-hole were better than they were in the 3-hole. But like, I don't think any of that shit matters. Like maybe it does mentally to them. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think we need to change the lineup at all. They're gonna work themselves out of it. We've got a pretty good week coming up. Boston has been pretty good, and we can talk about that too. Their pitching has been good at least. And then we face the Mets, which they beat us in a series earlier this year, but they're still the Mets.
They cooled off though. They really did cool off this past couple of weeks. They were looking good when they faced us, and they went on a good run. But I think they're kind of sliding back to where they, regressing to the mean again.
Yeah.
But they're dangerous. We know that. We saw them. They're dangerous. So no disrespect to them.
And they got JD Martinez in the lineup again now. I don't know how he's doing, but it's definitely another power bat in there to go in there with Alonso. But
we know who's pitching against the Mets. I know that.
I was just thinking it's going to be Elder. It's going to be the same rotation versus the Dodgers, basically.
If we're looking ahead, I know we've got Ronaldo tomorrow versus Cutter Crawford. So it's Ronaldo and Sale, and then let's just see.
And then so it'll be
Morton, Elder,
Charlie.
It'll be Morton, Elder, and Fried again, right?
Doesn't going back 30 seconds? I mean, we've been putting Riley in the 3 and Olsen in the 4 lately, huh?
It's been like that for like 2 years.
Yeah. No, so New York right now is Morton.
Am I tripping? I thought Olsen had been in the 3. Okay, my bad.
No, Olsen's 4, Riley's 3.
Okay, my bad. Dude, they're both gonna pick it up. I'm not stressing on that.
Olsen bat second the first year.
He did, yes.
For the first month or two, and then they moved him down to the 4-hole.
Now Ozzy's climbed up again. Yeah, okay.
The only other person you could argue about moving into the 2-hole is Harris, like we've seen, because he's got the speed, he could do it. So
yeah, I like Harris in the 2-hole, but I also like Ozzy there too.
Ozzy's been the bright spot of this offense since he got back from his injury. So
yeah, he was on like a 14-game hit streak. I think that ended the other day in LA, but
I'm sure it did. But yeah, don't mess with him. He's been holding it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate about him is he'll get on base, but then you're not going to see him steal. That's my only gripe with Ozzy up there.
Yeah, Ozzy's defense has slumped a little bit as well as
it's been like that for I don't know if people want to talk about it or not, but he's kind of been trending that way for kind of 2 years. So that's why it was nice to see Guillorme in there when Ozzy got dinged up.
I will push back
it's the debate about whether the bat, like Ozzy's bat is clearly way better, but his defense is suspect at some time. So I understand the argument, and I'm gonna be on team Ozzy, slot him in there, but it is.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we trade him or anything like that.
I'll push back on that a little bit. I think maybe some of the digs and tosses and scoops are less spectacular than we've seen, but I'm pretty sure I saw him make like the best catch I've ever seen in my life when he was running out to like right center and made a Willie Mays catch, like literally looking backward and so graceful, just like saw it the whole way, didn't even break stride, and made a catch that was like, it just looked so natural, and it was like the most impossible thing to think about actually doing. This was in the past like 10 days. I forget which game it was, but that dude is
talking about.
Yeah, he sort of like benefits from his smaller stature because he's so like nimble and like aware, and has just like this kind of wherewithal where he can like look backwards, whereas like a 6'2" guy couldn't like necessarily see, what's coming over his head kind of thing. I don't know. He's like a gymnast.
I just
don't. He definitely does go into shallow right pretty well, doesn't he?
For sure.
I think he just goes left too. pretty
It's just,
well.
I think it's his side to side range and lack of like explosive quickness that I think gets him.
I'll do some homework on this.
Yeah, maybe the
Riley.
more like grounders that he's not handling as well.
So he
He just
doesn't have the
go right,
length.
and he doesn't have an arm anymore
Yeah.
either. I don't think he's
He
ever had
definitely
one.
doesn't have an arm. He's no
Yeah.
Arcia because god damn, if we want to
Arcia
go
has
from
been
our
making
worst
great
infield,
plays.
good
He
god.
is also though. I'll give Ozzy the like he can apply the tag when Darno or Murphy or even Trump or whoever
Yeah.
is like trying to make a dig. He'll let the ball travel and then catch it and just straight down bottom. Like got you.
Arcia was on top 10, or he was in my like MLB recap email this morning of like plays you've got to defensive plays you've got to see. That
The one little
Arcia,
flip play that he made. Yeah.
which I don't know how the hell he did that. He was spinning on his knee, threw it from his glove, and it was just on target, perfect. Dude, Arcia has been out of
7
his
years
mind
or
at
7 million,
shortstop.
3 years.
What a
Yeah.
steal, right?
Absurd. Not per year.
Yeah.
Total.
No.
Yeah.
Total. No
Dansby
incentives.
who?
Just all
Yeah.
guarantees.
Actually, a fun fact. I did hear that his defensive metrics are better than Dansby's this year so far.
Well, no shit.
And no, cool, Dansby, take your 177, baby. Like, happy for you, dog.
So
Yeah.
since we're talking about shortstop, one recent shortstops, and we're playing Boston, is Grissom going to be at short this weekend or this
I think
tomorrow?
he's playing
and Wednesday?
second, right? Or is he playing short?
I would
'Cause
assume
what-
he's not playing short, but I'll look it up.
I don't know, but I will
I'm
say
looking forward
this:
to
I
seeing
would be
him.
looking.
Yeah.
I do too, but I'm also
Sounds
going to
fun.
enjoy seeing him rather than like this last Dodger series. Every time they hit the ball to short, I was like, well, there's the black hole of Mookie Betts. He's not going to miss it. But I wouldn't mind. Like, I'm a cheer for the kid when he gets up to bat his first time. Just, hey man, good to see you. But I will not mind
playing
watching
at all.
him mess up some plays in the infield. I'm
I think
talking
he's
about
just not
Grissom.
playing yet. He's had 8 plate appearances on the season.
He just
Yeah, he's been
got
hurt.
off the
He
IL.
just got brought up this weekend.
Oh, okay.
He just got pulled back into the lineup
Did
because he
not
got
know
hurt
that.
in spring training.
Did
Yeah.
not know that.
Let's see. I'm gonna look at.
I'm
their
looking
depth
at the
chart.
box score from Sunday when they
I
played
think just-
Grissom. Yeah, he's
They've
playing
got him
second.
at second base in their depth chart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think just eye test stuff, which is probably very misleading because I thought Max Muncy was a Braves killer and it turns out he's not. But like watching the Braves, I feel like I see a lot more infielders on the other team kicking balls around and fumbling and making, just botching routine catches and overthrowing people at first base and stuff than I see us doing it.
Yeah.
Riley has a cannon over there at third too. Whenever he makes one of those plays and guns it over to Olsen, it's always like fucking chest high, like perfect throw.
He's elite defensively. Like, his bat has been slumpy, but he's really just improved on that hot corner for sure.
Yeah, especially over the past like 3-4 years. It's been really cool to see his improvement because I remember when he got first brought up in like 19, I think he hit how many home runs in his first however many plate appearances, and I think he was just like on the bench. He wasn't even starting. I think 2020 was his first year that he was like the starting third baseman.
I remember thinking like this dude is like a power hitter. How they're putting him at third base? Like he can't play third base. He's like a big stocky guy, but no, he's a fucking baller at third base.
Yeah, he struggled a lot. I remember he used to strike out a ton and was hitting like 200 through most of the season in like 2020 and 2021 until Ronald got hurt. Then he fucking put the team on his back and figured out how to crush a fastball and started playing really good defense.
He had his first child, I think, man. He got that dad strength.
Yeah, dude.
Figuring out I got to make this next contract for my babies. Sure enough, he got G'd up.
Yeah, he's gonna be the next Chipper in terms of like the career as a Brave. I don't know if he'll be as good as Chipper, but
there are some accounts that like to kind of coordinate, like look at where Riley is right now compared to where Chipper was when he was Riley's age, and they're pretty similar.
They're pretty
Not gonna
close,
say,
but I don't think they'll be as
not
good.
gonna say he's gonna be the next Chipper, but
Chipper just had like
I love
outrageous
27.
longevity. Like he was so that guy won the batting crown when he was like what 36.
He
Dude,
was
he
an
was we were
insane hitter,
Batted
man.
over 300 from both sides of the plate. Like,
yeah.
are you fucking kidding me, bro? Dude is
Austin, he's yeah. Love Austin Riley. I think he's got the player profile to have a long, healthy career. Like if the Braves, if he ends up being like Chipper Jones, the Braves will have just struck gold at third base. They will have gone from Chipper, and then in less than 4 years, you get like cover like 40 years of third base with two guys.
Do you remember
Um,
everybody screaming and whining that we didn't re-sign Josh Donaldson? Remember that?
Woo! Dodged the
Me-
bullet there.
Rainmaker. The
I
bringer
was
of
one of those
rain.
people. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted him
Yeah,
back. That
yeah.
2019 season was fun though,
yeah, it was.
with JD making it rain, dude.
He was kind of like the pre-jock, dude. He was like that motherfucker, dude. He didn't give a
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that
He
one
did
gif
not
of
give a
him.
shit.
There's that one gif of him from like game 3 or 4 against the Cardinals in the NLDS, which I was at the 10-run inning game, but there was one when they were
Oh
playing
my
in
God, I
in
didn't know
St.
that.
Louis. Yeah, I was there. But
Ugh.
there's a gif of JD. He's like jumping over the gate, like, yeah, fuck yeah, when Ozzy got a big hit or something. And I like to use that gif sometimes.
Hell yeah.
JD was fun, but he has been terrible since then.
That's the beauty of AA, man. He saw him in Toronto, I think, right? Didn't he sign him in to the Blue Jays before,
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, I think we could use that guy for a couple of years. Sure enough. Made a run. Yeah.
So you guys want to talk about Luis Ariz?
How do you give him up, man? These fish, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, bro.
The management over there. Whoo. Brutal. How do you be a fan of a team like that?
The fish just like to woo suck go.
What?
That's like
Isn't
the
that who
name
they
of two of
got?
their pitchers.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's one of the pictures they got is woo suck go. That's the fish. They woo
I knew
suck
that
go.
sounded familiar.
I thought that was two. I thought one of
That
them was
was the
woo and the other
joke.
one was suck go. Yeah.
No, I think
No,
his
it's
name is woo
one dude.
suck go.
Oh, it's the one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo, suck, go. Yeah, I don't know. That's like
But-
That's the
literally
fish.
what they do, though. They win the World Series and then they let everyone go and then they suck.
Yep.
That's like the story of the Marlins.
But like
Don't they have
last
two
year they made it.
rings?
They made it. Yeah, they do. They're only two. Well, I guess they made it last year
From
and
like
in 2020 when they got swept
1991.
by us. It's like 97 and 2003, I think, is when they won it. But like, how do you go from making the playoffs for the first time in how many years last year, having a really good GM, Kim? I'm gonna say her name wrong. No, I don't know if that's how you say it. It's NGO is her last name. They fire her. I think they're gonna not renew the contract on Skip Schumacher, who just won Manager of the Year last year.
Yeah.
And then let go of like your only guy who hits anything.
Dude,
Like,
imagine if you're Luis Arias, right? You wake up one day and you're not a fish anymore. He probably had the best day. Was
So
that
happy,
Saturday?
dude.
Yeah.
So happy.
probably
It's
like
like the
the
batting
Adeiny
champion.
Echeverria, thank God for taking me
Close.
off the Mets kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did he
And then
get dealt to?
the Padres, and in his
Diego.
first game with the
Oh,
Padres, he got 4
perfect.
hits.
Yeah, loves being in San Diego, I bet. God
Yeah, I
damn.
bet.
What an upgrade.
I think he's
They're
DHing
coming
out
to-
there because they have like 4
He's
shortstops.
atrocious in the field. He's
He's
awful.
terrible.
I mean, the guy
Probably
playing
played
first
second
base
base
most of the time.
Oh, really?
Like he's so bad at he's awful in the field. Comically
Perfect.
bad for somebody who like looks like Ozzy, right? Like he's like kind of slowing. Like, oh yeah, that guy must be good. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. No, he's really bad. But like the Padres too, like why do they have like 4 shortstops? Because obviously Tatis is playing right field now, and he's like one of the best defensive right fielders in the game. But also, they have Kim, they have Cronenworth, and they have Xander Bogaerts. Like, why did they get another shortstop? I guess just specifically to DH. Who was their DH before?
Yeah.
They
Sounds
got
like
him.
it.
I don't know.
I think Manny Machado is DHing sometimes to give him like a little bit of a break because he's getting old now.
I actually read that
30
the other
something.
day that he was DHing a lot, which kind of blows my mind because that guy was a phenomenal fielder.
Yeah.
with
I mean, he's
Baltimore
been in the
and-
league like 12, 13 years now. He made his debut in like
Speaking of
2012, I think.
San Diego is beating the Cubs right now 6-3. Top of the
Good.
ninth.
Take
I'm
that.
I'm trying to look up their depth chart just to figure this out. Yeah, so you got Cronenworth at first, Bogart second, Machado at third, Ha-Sung Kim at short. DH, they've got Paulie. Where are they picking? Where are they putting? They're not even slot. They're not even showing Arias in this.
Is he on the bench? Maybe it's
They're
against
not
the
even.
lefty.
Well, no, this is just their depth chart. They're not even showing. Maybe it hasn't upgraded or updated. Let me look at their starting lineup today. But while I'm doing that, I guess the other news, if a topic is to be discussed, which I'm gonna blame this on our skid lately because the timing works out perfectly, is the big news with the Xfinity and Bally contract, which has a lot of I think Xfinity is going to find out really very quickly. Like, there's gonna be a lot of people that just drop Xfinity that literally only had it to be able to watch Bally. Like, I bet you they're about to get hurt, which I wouldn't mind seeing them go under either.
Yeah.
Bring back the
Is that
super
all of
station.
Bally or just like the Braves channels?
No, it's all the regional sports syndications. Yeah.
I don't know how all the contracts and stuff work,
You
but
know what's interesting is when I was living in the Battery, they forced you to have Xfinity, Comcast, like cable and internet
yeah.
because they were in such, they were so in bed with the Braves. They literally have their office building in the Battery.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you
Yeah.
let that happen, dude?
Yeah.
I heard Domino talking about this. It's like, let me be the arbitrator. I'll come in and say, you're both wrong. You're both fired. Bring new people in here. Let's get this fucking deal done because, you know, the Braves have to be on TV, dude. Like, what are we doing?
I
Well,
mean,
the
they're on
issue is that
direct
Valley
TV.
doesn't.
Well, sure, but they have to be on Comcast, on
Yeah.
Xfinity, on Bally, or whatever else, the Braves want to do. I mean, we've been locked into this shitty TV deal forever now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's going to be a big selling point for Liberty Media to get a new TV deal hooked up for these Braves. That would literally increase the like liquid value of this team by like $1 billion. Like if you come up with your own network, or maybe you sell it to Apple TV or fucking Netflix, whoever wants to get in the game, dude,
Amazon, yeah.
dude, Jeff Bezos, that he can sprinkle $1 billion and just be like, yeah, I'll carry all the Brave shit. Everyone already subscribes to my shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, he's
But
got what, 110 of them?
let's co-sign on what I heard them talking about, like Dave O'Brien on 755. If the MLB is so like fixated on expanding the game to the younger generation and increasing viewership, make it easier to watch games. I
Yeah,
think
put it on
there's no
YouTube.
reason. Yeah, there's no reason right now with this bullshit going on with the contracts that MLB should not step in, lift the blackouts out of MLB TV, and just let it happen for the time being, right? Like,
They
make
did
it
that with the
easier to.
Padres,
So why is it not happening with
Yeah.
us?
I think it's going
right?
to.
I think it probably will too. I'm gonna
It's
buy
because we're
MLB
locked
TV if
in,
it
dude.
does.
It's because we have a shitty deal. I forget who
Fuck bigger
originated the deal,
bases.
but it was with
Fuck
Fox
the pitch
Sports.
clock.
Fox
Make
Sports
it
got bought.
easier to watch.
Yeah. Dude, Apple, I think, does the best broadcast. I think we've all kind of like seen when the Braves games have been on Apple TV and just like the user interface, the user experience. It's navigable. It's like more like interacting with a website or a web-based app, a mobile app. It has to be on, this screen at the end of the day, right? Like this is where everything is going. And so the next deal that we will sign will be like very important to not only like the future of how the MLB and the Braves are broadcast, but like the coffers, the bank roll that the Braves have, because we've been limited by that. Liberty Media, like we're a fucking very minor account on their ledger. They own fucking like Formula One and shit, and
Yeah.
like English Premier League shit. Like they don't really give a shit about the Braves. And what I've heard is that they're interested in selling, and it almost makes me nervous because I feel like, man, we've got such a good thing going. You know what I mean? Like if they sell this franchise and let some, billionaire decide sort of like what the next TV deal is, maybe that guy isn't as smart as this like board of directors at Liberty Media who actually has stake in the game of like sports entertainment and like does this for a living. But I don't know, man. I guess it's obviously something's got to give, right? Like this Bally shit is not working.
Yeah, I'm blaming Bally. I'm blaming Bally for our skid here. If I'm gonna blame on anything, it's that we're losing games because Bally can't get their shit together. That's my take.
Yeah,
We
but
tried. We tried with the reel. Are we gonna bring up the reel at all? I'm pretty sure it's at like 3 million right now. So
it's crazy.
weird.
Yeah, so we reposted a reel from another Braves account, and we gave him credit, of course. But it got like 3 million views, and then we posted another one. It got single digit views, like 9 views or something like that. I don't know what it's at now, but
I think it's at like 100.
Instagram is weird. But
I didn't tell y'all I bought a million Ukrainian bots. Sorry guys, that was my fault. I didn't tell you.
It was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was me.
2.9 on the classic story of the 1985 game when number 37, Rick Hemp, something like that, comes in. And dude, my favorite part is the Mets catcher makes an avert, just like, all right, outfield, come in.
Yeah.
Stands
like
up
some
and like
Sandlot
crosses
shit,
over
like,
home plate. Like, all right, yeah, no batter. And he fucking hits one oppo from lefty, batting 0-6-0 to tie the game. Of course, we end up losing. But dude, even those fans who were there at like 3 a.m. At the end of that game, there's like kids in the seats in the old Fulton County Stadium. More people, like more fanatical people than there were in that Dodgers series, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so cool to see.
And that was in like the 80s when the Braves were terrible.
So bad. So bad. And there's so many people commenting too about like, oh man, thanks so much for posting this. I was there with like my dad and my granddad, or like telling stories about what they were doing when they watched it. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how the algorithm works, but whatever. We got like a few hundred extra views on all of our other little shorts and, the dumb shit Braves fans say, reels and stuff
It never
from
really
it.
popped off like I hoped it would.
It didn't, but I am glad that like we didn't have, this is obviously still very in its fledgling phase. And the only stuff that we had before then was all original content. So
Yeah.
I'm sure anyone who came to the page, like, who are these Tawkin Chop guys? We're kind of like, oh, they're actually doing original shit. This isn't like a repost page.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Pretty
so actually, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, and you made it this far, listening to us four dudes just ramble about Braves, what would you like us to make videos about? Like, let us know, because we will make them. We have lots of resources at our disposal, and so
we don't have jobs.
We don't have jobs.
This is all we do.
Not
We're
quite
all pre-tired. We're just kind of floating.
Dude, I took a nap. I woke up from a nap for this podcast just so I could make it through.
We feel so.
That Dodgers series was all about naps, man.
Dude, the whole week, right?
I don't mind it. I'm a night owl. I'm about to go play Call of Duty for a few hours, so we'll see what happens.
All right, let's wrap it up with predictions coming up. What do we think we're gonna do? All right,
so we got two against Boston and 3 against the Mets in New York. This is a really weird stretch, by the way, because we were just gone for a week. We come home for these 2 games, and then we go to New York for the weekend.
It's honestly like a 4-game road stretch, right? Because you're just traveling to another city is what it's sort of like, even though it's at home.
Yeah.
But I think we're I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I think we're gonna go 5-0.
I think 4-1.
I think this weekend was hopefully gonna be a huge wake-up call. They're gonna come home. They're gonna have an off day at home, not away in a hotel room with their families, and kind of reflect, be like, damn, we just got our ass kicked. We need to get our shit together. And Boston is, I don't know what their record is right now. They do have really good pitching, but at the same time, they're not a great team. We're a far better team, I think, anyway. I might be stupid saying that without looking at actual stats, but I
Their
think like
pitching is overperforming right now, but they might have lasting power. I mean, they're
yeah,
certainly outperforming everybody's predictions for what they were going to
they're
do.
in
Certainly
third
not
place
as
in
good
the
as the
AL
pitching
East.
was
They're
done
19
last
and
week.
16.
I mean, the guy we're facing tomorrow, Cutter Crawford's been lighting it up. So
He's been really good. Yeah, he's like top 5 ERA in the AL, pretty sure.
but regardless of that, I'm saying we go 2-0 against Boston because my record in games I've been to is 11-1. So we're going to keep that going. We're going to I don't even want to call it a sweep, but we're going to take both games against Boston, and we're going to take 2 out of 3 against the stupid Mutts. So
Yeah, I
payback
like it.
for taking 2 at home against us.
We had a
Yeah.
kind of a running joke with the text chat here with that reel when it was kind of popping off that got like 2 million views or whatever. And we kept saying the reel that broke the seal. And I feel like this team is just like at a breaking point right now where they're just about to bust out. Matt Olson, especially, just going through some of the numbers we were talking about earlier, like he's crushing the ball.
Wait, they're
And
about to
so,
bust? What are you saying?
yeah, dude, I'm gonna
Oh, I'm about to
bust.
bust.
I'm about to bust.
Oh.
Oh.
I like the 2-0 against Boston. I do think we take 2 off the Mutts in New York, maybe 3, but I'm going to say 4-1.
I cannot
How about you,
believe
Ty?
we're gonna go 4-1. When does Sale pitch? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday, game 2 against Boston.
Yeah,
Okay.
Raylo's tomorrow. And
Sale's
then
gonna
Sale.
go just like curb stomp the entire city of Boston on Wednesday night. Just go shove. And like I think he's gonna like maybe we sneak one out Tuesday, but I think Chris Sale, the Bulldog, just like steps in and sets the record straight. He's like, fuck you people, we're better at baseball than you are. Gotta set the record straight, like show the world. Like I really think that guy is gonna be the and we talked about Donaldson earlier. Like he didn't hit, but he's your Donaldson this year. Like he's the fuck you, we win, we're better. Bring it. Like he's the jock, he's the Donaldson. So
Yeah.
I think we maybe scrape by on Tuesday. But I think we really see the switch turn on Wednesday with Chris Sale going out there and with some fire.
Yeah.
I think here's my bold prediction would be that we get a first at bat, first pitch Ronnie Bomb tomorrow night.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
We need it.
Because it seems like
410 feet, a dead center field.
it seems like the book on Ronald right now is fastballs up in the zone because he has not been hitting them, but he hit one in LA, so maybe he tries it. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Watch out.
Yeah,
He just needs
exactly.
to lower. Yeah, he just needs to lower that swing a little bit. Like I don't know,
No,
man.
he's been swinging under it. He
Oh,
needs
and
to
it's
raise
gonna
it.
be
I mean-
83 degrees too, so it's gonna be warm.
Woo,
That's gonna help.
boy. Yeah,
You're right. He has been under it too. I don't. It's hard to. Yeah, I'm not like a hitting coach, but I think what he's doing is elevating his hands like on the swing. Like it's not like a straight through. It's more of like a down to low. He needs to lower from the back end, right, and just slap it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a hitting coach. I don't
Me
fucking know.
neither.
But
I just see him kind of like trying too hard to
speaking of
almost
which,
get off base.
I have been looking for a slow-mo clip from the side of him from this year to compare to one of last year, and I can make like a little side-by-side video. I'd be curious to
That'd
see
be
it.
awesome. Yeah.
He's
So if you
not-
find
yeah.
one, link it to me.
I think he's coming high to low as opposed to lowering and just I don't know.
Well, he's been getting
I'm-
pitched up and in. I mean, if you look at the heat map of pitches he's faced, everybody knows he doesn't like getting pitches up near his face. He always, and if you think about it, every time somebody throws it inside on him like that, he does this big drama freak out, and it seems to bother him. That's where people are targeting him is up and in. So
Yeah.
in general,
I mean, they've
the
been doing that
pitches
for
are
years,
higher.
though.
I know, but
Well-
if you look at what the heat map of last year is more centered, it was actually more down and out. This is up and in, and he's not
Really?
he hadn't adjusted. He just hasn't adjusted to it yet. So
I could be wrong. I don't know the exact statistics about this too, but I think he's also kind of like backed away from the plate in the box, like because he doesn't want to get jammed up. I think he's like batting from a little bit further away from the plate. He's backing up a little bit.
it was to be expected, right? People are gonna react to Ronald, and he's just got to correct. It's just gonna take a little bit to figure that out, but
Yeah.
it's just how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna figure it out. I'm not worried about him. He might not replicate last year's season, but he is still gonna be more than productive at the plate this year.
I mean, I'll tell you what, that's kind of what I hated about the Dodgers series more than anything is that it seemed like Ronald Acuna started to get back on pace with what we expect.
he was
He had a 3-for-4 game
super
in the blowout
productive.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
3-for-4.
and
Dude,
you just
what-
that
And a
gets
home run
swept under
Friday
the
night.
rug because we just get trounced. But still, man, like I see Ronald starting to heat up and become himself again.
Yeah. Not to
This
mention once he
team's
gets
gonna-
on base,
This pendulum
he
ride,
freaks.
this pendulum swing back is gonna be so fucking awesome. Like, just buckle up, folks.
Yeah.
Put on a fucking helmet. It's gonna be a
I'll
wild
take
ride,
either one,
so.
man. I'll take
Yeah.
the 70 stolen base Ronald, and I'll take the 40 home run Ronald. If he hits either one of those numbers, I'll be happy. Both of those is hard to do, but either one of those is fine with me.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like most of the swing and miss. I pulled up the heat maps. Most of the swing and miss here is low and away to him, actually, right now. I don't think that's right though. I might be looking at this wrong.
Looking
I'm
at
not sure.
backwards.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe because he's
It might
backed off
be
the
low and
plate a
away.
little bit.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. I was gonna say, if they're backing him off the plate and then he's missing low and away, that actually seems to jive with my memory. That he's missing, he's kind of like can't reach the corner right now.
I think he's maybe
It's
just
tough to look at those
protecting
things
the-
though.
Yeah.
It
Those
is.
heat maps are a bit too weighted towards maybe I don't know which one you're looking at, but
So like
feel like
this right here.
yeah.
So right here, swing percent by zone. So obviously the plate is that way. So he's on this side, the right side.
Mhm.
But is the good mean that he is swinging there or he's not swinging there?
The red is good.
That's yeah.
I mean, he's certainly not hitting well outside of the zone. Right.
And to be fair, the data I was looking at was
Yeah, that's
Fangraphs,
swing
not Savant,
percentage by
so-
zone. So the higher the better.
Striking out on a high fastball if you scroll to the right.
Oh yeah, right there. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100, yeah. Percent K by across all that blue line across the top. It's getting beat high,
Woo.
which matches what we've seen, right? Like he's underneath it, he's late. He's late, which is that's not gonna last. It's a timing thing. He can't catch up with the high fastball.
Yeah.
That's not
wrong. He'll wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not
Like, he
sustainable.
would- yeah,
It's not,
like he
it's
will
not
be fine.
sustainable for opposing pitching. Yeah.
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 100%. But all right, guys. Good episode. We went a little long here, like an hour and a half, but we had some good little chats.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, looking forward to this week and we'll do it again next week.
Go Braves.
Hell
Go
yeah.
Braves.
Later, y'all.
Later.
I like them apples.
Hey.